Train to Success brings you the latest in business management skills right to your desktop. At Train to Success, we combine thoroughly researched subject knowledge, rich multimedia, and interactivity to produce up-to-date e-learning content. Our courses.
Welcome to our program on managing executive stress. Why do some people find ordinary tasks difficult, while others breeze through them? They might have the same intelligence quotient, same skill sets, and same working conditions. Why then does one group look smiling and relaxed, while the other is tired and grumpy? The answer lies in one word: stress. While the second group is stressed out and unable to enjoy work, the first has learned that the only way to cope with stress is to understand and manage stress. Make stress an ally and not an enemy. Everyone reacts to stress differently, but whatever may be the reaction, management of stress is essential. For a healthy, wholesome and productive life, stress management is a must. Managing stress effectively means using it to your advantage, like an athlete putting forward his best in a crucial race. But allowing it to control your life is a sure recipe for disaster. Negative stress affects the body and the mind, damaging health and impairing the ability to perform. Stress can kill. Stress can cause heart attacks, high blood pressure, diabetes, and a host of other medical problems. It affects the psyche too and can lead to nervous breakdowns if neglected. As the in-house counselor in a large business outfit, I take stress seriously. The problem that most executives come to me with is, "Susan, I'm stressed out. I can't take the pressure anymore." My standard reply is, "So am I. But I've learned to manage stress and I can teach you how to do it." One of my colleagues, John, learned quickly and was promoted for his excellent work. Soon people started going to him for stress counseling instead of coming to me. Of course, John sends them back to me because he knows that learning to manage stress needs commitment, self-belief, a scientific approach and certain special skills, which this CD will tell you all about. Let's start straight away. Even if you are one of those who loves deadlines and relishes knife-edge competition, remember, there might be that too tough situation lurking in the future. Being prepared is being powered to face it. And if you are like most of us who react negatively to stress, this CD is especially for you. As you learn to manage stress, you will become more productive, find task completion easier, stay calm in difficult situations, enjoy work and home life. Managing stress has to become as much a part of the daily routine as tying your shoelaces or locking your safe. With practice, it will become second nature, so that you hardly realize you are doing it. Believe me, you will notice the difference. This stress management program will help you learn the following: what is stress, causes of stress, symptoms of stress, assess your own stress levels, stress management techniques, simple relaxation techniques. With all these inputs, you will learn how to combat and manage stress. Click on What is Stress to start the program. Stress is a stimulus which causes a response. Physics defines stress as a force producing a change in the shape of a body. In lay terms, stress is a defense mechanism that any living being, whether plant, animal or human, adopts to tackle new or threatening situations. While in ancient times this threat might have come from hunger or attack by predators, in modern days the threat is more subtle. It takes the form of having to answer 3 telephones at the same time, deal with 20 files in half an hour, get ready that proposal the boss wanted yesterday, and remember to buy the right model toy car for your son. Not only do you feel stressed out by the time you try to complete all your work at the office, when you reach home, there is pandemonium because the washing machine has conked out. Your wife is feeling unwell, and as for your son,
But I wanted a Mercedes-Benz, not a Rolls-Royce.
Stress has been further defined as anything that causes fear, anxiety, worry, apprehension, anger, or excitement. This can be made even simpler. Stress is something which has an impact on the body or the mind. This impact is usually negative. Even in cases where stress is positive, like getting a promotion, having a baby, reuniting with a separated spouse, this is usually temporary, as these abrupt changes upset the equilibrium in your life and you start feeling the negative effects sooner or later, depending on individual tolerance levels. Stress can never be totally absent, as the absence of stress literally means the absence of life. In recent times, more and more attention is being paid to stress, as research has proved that it can cause or trigger many diseases. Once called the disease of the 20th century, it has assumed epidemic proportions in the 21st century. To recap then, stress is a natural response. It impacts both body and mind, brings out the best in some people, has adverse effects on most, and can harm health. So, control stress before it controls you. Now let's take this quiz to assess our learning in this module. Click on True or False to indicate your answer. Click on Start to begin. Click on Evaluate when you are done. Click on Stressors to continue the program. Stressors are things that cause stress. Stressors vary vastly from person to person. Generally, they can be traced to type of personality and environmental conditions. Experts have categorized the first cause, type of personality, into three: type A, type B, and type AB. Type A personalities have adrenaline coursing through them all the time. In other words, they are charged up. A-type people are characterized by an excessive possession of the following qualities. They are achievers, aggressive, competitive, impatient, fast-talking, poor listeners, and they lack empathy. Let me extract from my case notes this account by Zainab of her achievements, which tell us what personality type she is. Susan, how are you? I've just got back from this award function in Frankfurt, where I was chosen Miss Achiever of the Year. It was hectic, I tell you. The chief guest spoke for 20 minutes, and I got just half an hour. I didn't stop, mind you. I went on for another 10 minutes to say what I had to say. Look, I've got to fly to Malaysia tonight, and I've got the splitting headache. Give me some of those pills, you're a dear. I promise I'll come back and have that chat with you. Type A people are the most prone to stress among the three groups. Type B personalities are the opposite of Type A people. Let's look at some of their traits. Type B people are unhurried, relaxed, non-competitive, not aggressive, patient, empathetic, to excessive proportions. Patrick O'Casey was that quintessential Type B person. He was driven into my room by his boss after repeated absence from Saturday afternoon meetings in favor of a round of golf. He was a charmer, all right. He genuinely couldn't understand why his pursuit of rest and recreation, as he called it, should offend anyone. He wanted his boss to come with him too, saying the guy suffered a coronary and should come out and exercise instead of stressing himself out with all those reports. I offered Pat a compromise. I would make his boss come to play golf on Sunday mornings if he promised to attend the Saturday afternoon sessions. He grumbled but acquiesced. Type B people rarely fall victim to stress, but at the same time, they are in danger of being called laid back or even lazy. Type AB, which combines the best of these two types, is perhaps the best cocktail. These are people who are truly balanced, combine Type A and B qualities in moderate measures, unlike the excesses of Type A and B, and can cope with any situation positive or negative, with equanimity. My CEO, Harsha Chang, is a perfect example. He has a poster in his room reading, "Be moderate, all who enter." Harsha was the one who insisted that the company have a counselor on its rolls. I was a cashier at that time, but he read through my resume, found that I had a diploma in social psychology, and put me in this job. Ever since he became head honcho, the company's attrition rate has dropped to 1%. And those were people who moved for other reasons, like a spouse getting relocated. Here's a memo sent by Harsha to all the staff. "Dear team, we've got this challenging deadline from our best client. Christmas is approaching and none of us want to stay in office during the holidays. So I request all of you to put in an hour extra all weekdays to meet this deadline. Of course, you will all get overtime plus a bonus for accomplishing this. Okay team, go for it." Environment is the other giant stressor. The word environment is used here to encompass a broad canvas covering the home, family, work, colleagues, education, training, lifestyle, attitude, and general health. Click on each element for more. Now let me tell you about Hillary. Personality traits and environmental conditions combined in an unfortunate way to create acute stress in Hillary. Hillary literally had to be forced into my room by her supervisor, who fortunately took a liking to her. Hillary's problems were pretty difficult to handle. This is because the odds were really stacked against her. Hillary was a type B personality and not really suited to aggressive work environments. But domestic circumstances, both her parents were dependents and her husband had deserted her, forced her to take up her job. Hillary had a good education, but was nervous with her colleagues because she thought they would look down on her. She made the mistake of investing in expensive clothes to overcome this shyness, and was therefore spending most of her salary on paying bills. She was in good health, but would stammer in tense situations. She was also a meticulous worker, which is why the management gave her time to sort out her problems. She missed out on a couple of promotions, but being a type B, this didn't affect her as much as it would have affected a type A. We'll see how Hillary combated stress a little later in the program. In this module, we identified the type of personality and the surrounding environment as the primary causes of stress. Click on Symptoms to continue the program. Stress can be diagnosed by a number of physical, emotional, and behavioral manifestations. As these are common symptoms, a word of caution. Remember that any or all of these symptoms could be caused by organic disorders too, like an infection or a deficiency. Each individual has to carefully observe himself or herself to find out whether the symptoms are stress-related. This is not as difficult as it sounds. If you have been getting a cold every third week of the month, think back to what activity you usually involve yourself in that week. Oh yes, it's the time the monthly performance review is scheduled. Stress has an effect on the body, the mind, and interpersonal relations. The symptoms of stress can be classified into physical, emotional, and behavioral. Now let's identify the physical symptoms of stress. Frequent headaches, backache, stomachache, catching cold often, sleeplessness, panting or breathlessness, giddiness and nausea, dryness in the mouth, skin disorders, nervous tics, pacing the room or cracking knuckles, sudden weight loss or gain, stammering. Here are the emotional manifestations: unreasonable anger, aggression, depression, confusion, forgetfulness, loss of control, inappropriate responses, shyness, poor communication, bad dreams, loss of concentration. The emotional symptoms of stress that we just discussed can often be recognized faster than the physical ones. But conversely, they're also more difficult to tackle and can have more serious consequences, as they affect the way we behave towards other people. Now we look at some of the behavioral symptoms. Chronic fault finding, inability to listen to others' viewpoints, hypersensitivity to criticism, delaying task completion, withdrawing into oneself, losing balance in pleasing superiors, at the same time anger at following orders, resentment towards fellow colleagues, resistance to change, new ideas, using tobacco, alcohol or tranquilizers to reduce stress. In this module, we discussed some of the symptoms of stress: physical, emotional, and behavioral. It is important to recognize that these symptoms can have organic causes too. Each individual has to spend some time thinking about his or her life to figure out whether the symptoms are due to some physical problem, for example backache caused by bad posture, or as a result of stress. Click on Managing Stress to learn how to work the magic. In this section, we will look at the following. We'll start with an interesting chat I had with John and how he reduced his stress levels, discuss some useful tips, and look at Hillary's problems and the solution. By the time you finish, you will be a master at managing stress using simple methods which are sure to give you immediate and long-term results. Remember John? He was one of the first who came to me when I started this counseling job, and I'm proud to say he's one of my success stories too. Here is a conversation I had with John on how he is managing stress so well these days. Remember, John knows how it feels to be stressed out, so his answers are all the more valuable. Click on the conversation button to listen to us. Wasn't that conversation with John wonderful? And you know, he really did it all by himself. My contribution was about 10%. The rest was all his effort. You can do it too. Here are some brief tips I've formulated over the years. I'm positive you will find them useful. Some of them may seem unrelated to management of stress, but in actual fact, they are closely linked. If you feel it is a daunting task to implement all of them at once, set yourself a target of learning and following one a week and stick to that. Be committed to whatever you are doing. Time management is crucial. You will be stressed out if you are 10 minutes late to work every day. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can finish today. Don't lose control, especially when confronting change. Believe in yourself. But in situations where you know you are right and superior or majority opinion is different, let go. Think positive. Be honest with self-assessment. Don't expect rewards every time for good work done. Don't indulge in nostalgia about past good times and current bad times. The golden age of the past is a myth. Take a 10-minute break after 4 hours of work. After 8 hours, a half-hour break is medically recommended. Keep fit. Exercise releases good chemicals in the brain. Practice the relaxation techniques described in this CD. I've told you a little about Hillary and her problems. What I didn't say was that Hillary became so stressed out that she stopped coming to work. It took 2 visits to her home by her supervisor, followed by 3 from me, to get her back to the office. Only then did we start her on counseling. Today, Hillary is personnel manager. I had already sensed it, but my impression was confirmed in my first sitting with Hillary. She had undergone a traumatic experience in her life which was at the root of her problems. Her mother had shown me pictures of Hillary as a laughing young girl, looking completely different from her present self. Traumatic experiences can cause deep stress. Such experiences can change personality. She got good grades in school and a scholarship to college. It was in college that she met her future husband, Tom. Though her parents took a dislike to Tom, they did not object to the wedding. Hillary and Tom were married in her final year of college. Fortunately, she went on to complete her course and got herself a good degree. A good educational background can provide ammunition against stress. Hillary and Tom found a small place to live and all was well for 2 years. Then Tom started seeing an older woman who worked as an accountant in the firm where he was a computer programmer. Hilary was devastated when Tom left home. Sudden disruptions or intrusions, especially negative ones, cause stress. Hilary went back to her parents' home, and soon it was obvious that she would have to go to work. Her parents' savings had already run out in giving her periodic loans, and with her father suffering from Parkinson's disease, medical bills were mounting. When a stressful situation develops, it often has a snowballing effect and more difficult situations arise. Hilary was lucky to land the first job she applied for, personnel assistant. Her problems came later. Hilary found that she could do paperwork well, but failed miserably in anything that involved communicating with others. She also found it difficult to mix and was afraid that she carried a stigma. An unhelpful supervisor compounded her problems. Stress impairs interpersonal skills, inhibits communication, and promotes introversion. It was sheer good fortune that Hilary's supervisor got transferred to another section, and the person who came in her place was far friendlier. He realized Hilary's potential at once and tried to draw her out. Helpful colleagues and supervisors have the power to make their employees' lives less stressful. Hilary was still withdrawn, but her work performance improved. It would have gone well if her former supervisor had not asked her nastily at lunch one day, "Well, how's good old Tom doing?" Hilary rushed out of the lunchroom, wrote her resignation letter, and rushed out of the office, despite the attempts of some other women to stop her. Causes of stress have to be tackled at the root. Temporary solutions work for a short time. The next, more difficult challenge was to make her comfortable in the office situation. For this, I secretly enlisted the help of one of my close friends in the office who had just come back after a 1-year break. Though a gregarious person, we projected her as shy and retiring, just as Hilary was. Others went along with the harmless deception. She started asking Hilary if she could have lunch with her, and after 3 tries, Hilary agreed. Soon, Hilary started mothering Trisha. Isolation causes stress. Being part of a group at office gives a sense of belonging and reduces stress. As I said earlier, it took several visits from her supervisor and me to Hilary's home before she agreed to come back to the office. As I was already aware of the circumstances of her departure, the first thing I did was to enroll her in a support group for women with husbands who had deserted them. Type B personalities who are shy will benefit from joining support or help groups. That support group worked wonders. Soon Hilary realized that she was not alone. There were people with problems worse than hers. There was this unwed mother, for instance, who had to bring her 2-year-old son to the meetings as she had no one to look after him. As she was uneducated, she could only do unskilled work for a small pay. When in stress, it is important to have perspective and realize that other people may have problems worse than yours. The next step was to make her realize her potential in the office. For this too, her supervisor and I hatched a plan. Vikram, Hilary's supervisor, would absent himself on the day of an important presentation. Hilary had helped him prepare it, so naturally he would call in and say that she could do it instead of him. I assure you it nearly backfired. For one thing, Hilary saw through the ruse. For another, she flatly refused, saying she would leave if she was forced. Presenting a sudden challenge before a person is a good way of assessing whether counseling has worked. I knew that crunch time with Hilary had come. If I backed down, the work of a year would be wasted. Plus, I was sure the person she had become would regret it later. So I stuck to my guns. I told Hilary that this time I could not help her out. She would have to listen to her supervisor. I pointed out that if she did not do so, she could not expect those now working under her to listen to her either. Sometimes taking a tough stance can work miracles. Backing down can have negative effects. My heart was thudding as I waited for Hilary to respond, but I kept my face absolutely calm. It was only 10 minutes, but it seemed much longer when she finally said, "Okay, Susan, I'll do it." In Hillary's case, her stress had obviously reduced because she responded positively to the challenge. The rush of joy I felt would have reverberated around the office if I had uttered it aloud. Instead, I contented myself with dancing round the table with the door closed, of course. Assisting someone in managing stress brings satisfaction to the helper as well as the helped. Let's briefly go over Hillary's stressed out situation and the way she dealt with it. The primary stressors were an unhappy family life and an urgent need to earn. Symptoms took the form of shyness, lack of confidence, and a tendency to take the easy way out. With good education, meticulous work, and a helpful supervisor acting as plus points, her stress was managed by making her part of a support group, getting colleagues in the office to become friendly with her, and finally by putting her in a tough situation where her innate strength of character emerged. Click on relaxation to learn some surefire techniques to beat stress. Stress affects us at different planes: the physical, emotional, mental, and the behavioral. So too, relaxation techniques target the mind, the body, and the 5 senses. Mind is stronger than matter. Ancient healing systems, in fact, trace many diseases to the mind. They are called psychosomatic disorders. Problems caused by stress would definitely fall under this category. But think of it this way: if it's all in your mind, then you have the ability to control what's happening to you. Let's look at 2 stress management techniques which utilize the power of the mind: visualization and meditation. This technique involves allowing your imagination to soar free and focus on positive scenarios. For instance, if you have a stress-induced backache, slowly visualize your back, the muscles, the spinal cord, the ligaments, everything. Then target your brain on each part and visualize it as healthy, without pain. Slowly, you will find your muscles relaxing and the tension will slip away. Use your imagination to transport yourself from your present stress-ridden situation to something that is wonderful and beautiful. Imagine yourself in an open field, lying on the grass with a patch of sunflowers a short distance away. The sky is blue, the birds are singing, and the trees are green. There is a shimmering lake to your side, while in the distance you can see a mountain ridge. Get up slowly and start climbing towards the hills. Breathe in the fresh air. Exercise your unused muscles. Before you realize it, you have reached the top of the hill. That made me feel really wonderful. Top of the world and in command of everything. Meditation is different from visualization in that it involves more concentrated effort. The yogis who are a picture of calm are actually absolute masters at the art of concentration. While you might need a trained teacher to teach you yoga in all its complexity, in its simplest form, you can do it on your own. Select a place where you will not be disturbed. Sit in the cross-legged posture on a mat or a bedspread. Keep your hands at your sides, just in front of your legs. Focus your eyes on any object in the room, a picture, an artifact, anything. Breathe in deeply, in and out. As you will be taking in more oxygen than usual, you will start feeling a little sleepy. Do not worry about that, but resist the temptation to close your eyes. After 10 minutes, remove your focus from the picture or artifact and instead start thinking of any random word. The latter is a technique used in transcendental meditation. Repeat the word in your mind for as long as you can, for up to 5 minutes. When you are through, lie down for 5 minutes for a short rest. You will feel refreshed. A word of caution: don't do meditation on a full stomach. Before food is ideal, but it can be practiced an hour after food too. However, you can daydream or fantasize about all the things you would like to do at any time of the day. Now let's look at the 5 senses and see how they can help us manage stress. These are very tangible techniques that yield tangible results. The sense of sight, the sense of hearing, of smell, touch and taste can be potent weapons in the war against stress. The sense of sight. How many of us fall asleep in front of the television? More than would care to admit. To many, watching some mindless fare on television is a great way to relax. For others, it's looking into the cool grey waters of an indoor aquarium, sparkling with the gold and silver of the myriad fish. For still others, it's looking on indulgent at the boisterous activities of children, or even admiring a landscape or a sunset. The point I'm making is that it's your own choice. Just be conscious of this invaluable de-stressor, the sense of sight, and use it to your advantage. The sense of hearing. If music be the food of love, play on. How often we have heard that line. Music sets the mood for any occasion, and soothing music soothes the mind. For management of stress, the choice of music is all too important. There is no point picking Tchaikovsky's Pathetic, which the great Russian composer listened to before he killed himself. Choose instead a symphony or sonata of Beethoven or the church music of Bach. If you are not into classical music, try and pick those albums where your heartbeat doesn't coincide with the drum beats. The sense of smell. Remember those queens and kings of the past in perfumed robes and incense-filled great halls? They definitely knew what they were doing. Aromatherapy, which uses different fragrances therapeutically, has now become an accepted method of treating both physical and mental disorders. These fragrances are distilled essences of rare herbs and flowers which ancient texts tell us have curative effects. Each fragrance has a specific therapeutic effect. Test some fragrances yourself to choose your very own mind lifter or consult an aromatherapy specialist. The sense of touch. James Bond is not the only one who loves having a massage. There can be no more immediate release of tension and stress from the body than a good massage. Professional masseurs know exactly which muscle to knead and which pressure point to activate to release stress and give relief from pain. The Indian system of Ayurveda uses massage as an integral part of treatment, while the Chinese use acupressure. Check out with your local health parlour or get someone in your family to do it for you. The sense of taste. Watch what you eat and drink. Avoid intake of caffeine in any form before bedtime. Say no to large fat-rich meals. Indulge in light carbohydrate-rich food before hitting the sack. Carbohydrates help produce insulin, which induces sleep. In food, moderation is the key word. Unless otherwise medically recommended, a combination of healthy foods, read legumes, carbohydrates, etc., and tasty foods, read spicy, fatty, is probably the best method to keep the stress attacks away. In other words, ensure a balanced diet. As someone once said, breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dine like a pauper. I also teach certain proven relaxation exercises. These are exercises which help the mind and body to relax, make sleep come easier at night, and ease tension during the day. Most of them can be done unobtrusively anywhere, while the others will need you to lie down. These exercises should be done without fail before going to sleep and at other times of the day whenever possible. But remember, you should continue with your daily exercise regimen too, whether that is walking, running or aerobics. And don't forget, competitive sports at lower levels of competition are great stress relievers. Go and call your son and his friends for a game of football. Let me now teach you the first set of the 3 exercises, all involving the hands and the arms. These can be done seated. Close your left hand into a tight fist. Open as slowly as you can. Repeat. Do the same exercise with your right hand. Repeat. Make a fist again and bring your left arm to your shoulder, stiffening it. Let it fall back as slowly as possible. Repeat. Do the same exercise with your right hand and arm. Spread out the fingers of your left hand as wide as possible. Bring them back together as slowly as possible. Repeat. Do the same exercise with the right hand. These exercises too can be done while sitting down. Crinkle your forehead into a frown as much as you can. Release slowly. Repeat. Twist your tongue into a rolled up position. Release slowly. Repeat. Grit your teeth as hard as you can. Release slowly. Repeat. The neck is one part of the body which always becomes stiff and painful when you are under stress. These exercises will relieve that discomfort. They can be done sitting or lying down. Turn your head slowly to the right. Bring it back as slowly as you can. Repeat. Do the same exercise, this time turning your head to the left. Repeat. Bring your head down and press your chin onto your chest as much as you can. Release slowly. Repeat. Press your head backwards onto your neck as much as you can. Release slowly. If lying down, press head on mattress. Repeat. The next of exercises involves the shoulders, stomach and spine. They can be done only lying down. Do not use a pillow. Press the shoulders back onto the mattress as much as you can. Release slowly and come back to natural position. Repeat. Bring shoulders forward towards the chest as much as you can. Release slowly and come back to natural position. Repeat. Take in the stomach as much as you can. Release slowly. Repeat. Puff out your stomach as much as you can. Release slowly. Repeat. Press the spine on the mattress as much as you can. Release slowly. Repeat. Bring spine up from the mat as much as you can. Release slowly. Repeat. We come to the last set of exercises involving the chest and then the feet. These are simple. After you finish them, do all the exercises simultaneously in the manner described. Take a deep breath and hold it for 5 seconds. Release slowly. Repeat. Bend your foot from ankle inward as much as you can. Release. Repeat. Bend your foot from ankle outward as much as you can. Release. Repeat. Press balls of feet on the ground or mat. Release. Repeat. Rest for a few minutes if you have done all the exercises. Then do the last exercise in the following order. Lie down. Tighten your fists, crinkle your forehead, press your shoulders back, take in your stomach, press your spine down and press the balls of your feet on the mat. When the whole body is tense, release slowly. You will feel totally relaxed now. The exercises we just practiced use the principle of building tension and the release of tension to achieve relaxation. They are easy to do, can be done in office situations or at home, and can specially solve problems like sleeplessness and poor concentration. In this module, we learned how to relax using our very own equipment, that is, the mind, the body, and the senses. In this program on managing executive stress, we understood the concept of stress and came to terms with the fact that it is an inevitable part of life. We also identified some of the causes of stress, recognized some of the symptoms of stress, and learned how to manage and conquer stress. Finally, we learned how to relax. Now let's test our learning by taking the final quiz in the program. Click on Start to begin. We hope we've provided you with the ultimate solution to managing stress. Thank you and goodbye.